Hey, just wanted to check in again because I'm still living in my post-Beatles world, my new uh, new world of seeing more of what the controllers have been up to and just processing. I feel like I'm getting to the other side of it, starting to have a sense of humor about it, which is always a good sign. And I'm eating some really nice, soft French cheese. Thankful for the French. They've fought long and hard to retain some culture. But, and there were some interesting higher side chats episodes that piggybacked on the Paul is dead stuff. Just everyone kind of coming to the same conclusions, but also just more threads being pulled together. So it's like, oh, now it's like I can see a cohesive plan, the transhumanist plan and how it's being enacted, and also why, like, a lot of people don't understand spiritual stuff a lot, and this is a spiritual war. So, they tend to use just like logic and sciencey crap to talk about it. But it's bigger. So I wanted to just talk today about disrupting your patterns. I mentioned a lot about fasting and taking breaks from things, food, giving my body a chance to cycle through and detox and clean up the messes, and even just living. It's like we're being so bombarded all the time. I'm really struggling being back in a city after having lived in the forest for several years. And it's everything from the noise to it's just been constant. Mostly it shows up as like mucus and phlegm and stuff that has to literally be expelled from my body, and it's really gross and uncomfortable. But as I've been leaving these platforms, let me just back up and say, there's a time to grieve, like each of these things that I find out, I have like a grief process, I'm like, oh wow, like everything has been engineered to work against us. The game is completely rigged. Even when we think we're negotiating or if I have a little something to hold on to and a way to make it work, it's never real. It's never real stability. It's never lasting, because they can change whatever they want, and they change the rules all the time. Look at anything. It's like, and now we're in such a world of micromanaged like regulations and insanity. It's insanity to me. Like, California was insane to me. I never saw poverty and desperation and mental illness and drug addiction like I'd seen in Los Angeles. And, but you can't build any temporary housing. You can't, all the codes for everything. Nobody can have a reasonable home. And so they'll tolerate homelessness rather than address the codes and fighting that battle. And I get it. But I had a really hard time just ignoring that stuff in LA because I'm very sensitive. So I just want to keep reiterating this, and the reason I'm sharing my processing of these events in real time is to help others, to leave a little bit of a breadcrumb trail of how to do it, how to get your soul back, how to keep and keep your soul back. That's like what we're doing. Because even if you haven't lost all of it, they have splintered us off into such tiny fragments of ourselves that none of us have it all. No. So we've got some work to do to pull back all of our power, all of our energy. And it's not a mental exercise. Like, I keep saying this because when I go back in my mind of why I was staying on social media, why I was like oh, it has to be, and I feel lonely when I'm not on there, and all the logical reasons that I gave for staying on Instagram and Facebook. I can tell you now, having detoxed from it and been off of it for a long time, you do, even on a platform like that, like there's a physical detox of that energy, and it takes time to cycle through you, so you can't have a real perspective on what it's doing to you till you get off of it for a long period of time. Like reorient everything in your body, like it's because the thing that I notice the most now is other people's absence in their presence, because part of them is still always being pulled by that thing on our phones. We're all addicted to our phones. I'm no exception, and I have been working through these things, myself, and I'm not done. Still very addicted to YouTube. Still have my phone on me all the time. All these things, I try not to sleep in the same room as my phone. I put it on airplane mode, but now I know that they can record us when it's on airplane. I try not to charge it near me. I try to turn the Wi-Fi off at night as much as I'm able to, but it does a thing where it crashes and won't go back on. Isn't that clever? So I do it part of the week. I wish I could do it fully. And then, yeah, so I notice the absence in people's presence, like that I'm with, who are still addicted to these things. I notice also in myself when I left and went back to it before. I went back to it because I was lonely, because I felt like people weren't showing up in the real world. And that has continued to be true. I'm more skilled at handling the loneliness that comes with that this time. But not entirely. Like, I feel very crispy. I'm a very naturally social creature. And even though I do need times to recharge, but this has been extreme, partly because I have to protect this new way of being. It's come at great personal expense too. Every time I'm in some sort of like just muggle job that starts to deplete me and drain me, and they're all in the old world program full tilt, I can't participate anymore. And it's not just like I'm being a brat and I don't like it and I need to just pull up my bootstraps and just get the job. It's like what I'm preserving is precious. It's my soul, and I'm physically unable to participate anymore because my emotions start to have physical manifestations, like all this mucus, like all this stuff, or like depression, or like anything else, or like habits, needing to smoke, needing caffeine, needing alcohol, needing weed. Like, it shows up like those things. So it's like taking a break from those things, looking at why I'm using them, looking at how I'm escaping, changing the pattern, changing my own patterns, not getting into a rut, pulling myself out of a rut. And, it's like, because I think there was a time where maybe we could sort of like get away with walking both sides of the fence. But there's going to be a time very soon where you have to choose. And, you're going to want your wits about you and to choose with clarity, because they're trying to kill us, and we've been lied to about everything. So, but I'm like, okay, fine. Everyone has free will. Like, you guys want to go that route, and you can really, like, trust in it. Like, I can't. I just can't. I'm not going that way. And what does that mean? It shows up when it's just, like, it's a lot of the old power structure. It's a lot of the, like, me first, and then if there's anything left, you can get some. It's like, what the fuck is this? Just any kind of top-down sort of stuff that's just, like, very, money-driven. And it's not that I don't need money. Of course I need money. But it's like I'm trying to find my way back to when synchronicity still worked, because it stopped working at some point since the pandemic, around then, before then really, because we left a lot of it. Like, it's still there, we can still get it back, but we have to reactivate all of these muscles within us to be able to manifest this stuff, to really manifest something different. And I want something I haven't experienced yet. That's so positive. So this idea of repatterning, I think Lent started, I was already doing a Venus retrograde observance where I'm quitting my smoking because I was rolling a little bit of tobacco with different herbs, non-tobacco herbs, and also I believe we've been lied to about what even tobacco is, does, everything about it. So get off your high horse if you're one of those like super, smoking's disgusting. Like, it's all whatever. We all pick our poisons, and I don't know. Like, I'm just like, it's all complicated, and we've been lied to about all of it. And really, I prefer balance. Like, I like a little bit of, I wouldn't even say hedonism, because it's not like totally like losing myself that I need to do. It's actually a rewilding to find myself that I need to do. And then also through discipline, I also find myself, and I train myself to acclimate to extremes, to acclimate to bitterness, right? The healthiest herbs are bitter herbs. And people that are like, ew, it's gross, I don't like it, get to like it. You get to like it. You train yourself to like things that are challenging, that are really good for you in the long run. And also, and this is what yoga teaches, you know, this is like to be a spiritual warrior. It is like, how will you know your own limits if you have no discipline? Really. And I'm not like the most disciplined person. I've definitely slacked off and have let myself go, and, you know, in certain areas where I'm just like not trying that hard. So, you know, like meditation, right? Like, that's always one that I'm like, oh God. And because the effects are so seamless and perfect, it's so easy to ignore it and not do it. It doesn't bonk us on the head. So I guess I'm kind of like making this video for people that are still on social media in particular. Definitely leaving all of them. Amazon, Netflix, I just left Spotify. So here's what I can update you since leaving Spotify. Because each one, I'm telling you this for real, that each one has a toxicity to it. There's a grieving, there's a thinking you're losing something, and letting it go and making peace with it so that you can turn your focus and attention to something else and find another organic way to get that feeling that I get, like through music. So we'll go back to the Spotify thing. So I was upset. I celebrated leaving with some sparkling wine. Which did give me a hangover, but something in it popped the sinus congestion. So that was interesting. The sinus congestion had plagued me for like going on 2 weeks, I feel like. And it was debilitating. Like, I couldn't bend over without my head feeling like it was going to explode. If I changed elevation, it was like... And you can kind of equate this spiritual stuff to scuba diving a little bit, you know? It's like you're acclimating to pressure, different kinds of intensity coming at you. So it's like you do have to, your body has to make these weird little adjustments, you know? And so to think that we can do that and still be on any of their systems, because all of their systems are designed to work together to deplete us, to keep us numb and dumb, and also sick and suffering, so that they can benefit from it and be the ones with the solutions. and everyone goes along with it. It's such a comprehensive system, and I don't think we'll ever really fully understand it in our lifetimes. So to think that you can just be casually, like, and in your mind be like compartmentalized and tell yourself that, oh, it's not affecting you that much, and yeah, I have some limits with it, and you know, all this. And I'm like, I'm telling you, no, that's not good enough. That you want to disrupt your own pattern, not only for yourself, but you want to be harder to affect. So if you've been on something like that for a long, long time, which, you know, I was, and like Spotify, I was on there for like 10 years. And, you know, realizing that it was funny to realize, spend all those hours and hours recording my playlist. And I knew at the time, I was like, watch, I won't even listen to these. Like, I'm just doing this to make myself feel better about leaving. And so I have to do it. So I spent hours and hours and hours recording in real time whole files of each playlist. They aren't track by track. It was like the whole thing. Many, many playlists. Probably like 120 all told. Out of like 300. So, and I deleted everything. I didn't leave any trace of it online, and then deleted my account. And so what happened after that, I had the celebration, I had the hangover, something popped in my head, and then I was like, okay, so yesterday I was like, when I would normally, you know, put on my headphones and go for a walk, I didn't. No, I did. I listened to the radio station out where I used to live in Northern California, KVMR-X, the alternative version of KVMR. And half the day it's usually really, really good and like mind-blowing and all over the place and really wild. And then it gets a little too jazzy or a little too Burning Man-y for me at a certain point in the late afternoon. So it was interesting, though, that while I was walking, so I changed the pattern, listening to something different. The vibe was different. I wasn't just listening to the same things on over and over again, which is what my Spotify experience had become, because I was liking only the same old music, so I wasn't really, like, finding anything new. And yesterday I literally saw a store that I've never seen before on a walk that I do, like, 2 or 3 times a week to the grocery store. Like a gift shop, selling like balloons and cards and like birthday kind of stuff. And I was like, it was like a party store. Never seen it before. I was like, how have I never seen this before? Like, I've been here since July. So that's like how it went so far since leaving Spotify. Interesting things are happening. Also, last night, you know, I decided to also switch up my patterns with YouTube, where I'll watch something and then I have to take a break. I have to either get up, go do something, switch the laundry. I have to make myself either get up, do something, or reflect on what I just took in. So I'm not just like constantly consuming. I want to be consuming and then processing so I can integrate, and then I can take in a little bit more. And so this meant that I kind of got filled up. I took a bunch of notes and some ideas I had. I had a bunch of ideas come through about how to do something that's I've been wanting to do, like a dream project, and how to do it came to me yesterday, just all at once, on one of these breaks in between YouTube stuff. And so I started putting that plan in action, and then that changed a bunch of other stuff and made me realize a bunch of other ducks I had to get in a row if I was going to do that stuff. So immediately things started like shifting. And then also at night, like I just was like, okay, I feel like I'm at my limit. I usually try to get off YouTube at least by 8. And last night I did, and got a new book, and I was, man, page turner, really in it. I felt like this was the magic store. I call the thrift store near me as the magic store, partly because it's always so synchronous. Like, my guides are always talking to me through stuff in there. My dad will sometimes play stuff on the radio. Like, stuff happens in there that's just like, I'm like, wow. Like, this is a trip. And so I felt like, you guys are gonna laugh, but Yeshua himself, like, kind of took my hand when I was, like, sad about leaving Spotify. This was before I left, and just, like, kind of took me to the book section, was like, do you want to pick out a couple books? And he helped me pick out a couple books, which were C.S. Lewis, who we know is a Christian. Also the Bhagavad Gita, which is interesting because I think Krishna is probably Yeshua. And I think, if I got that right. But anyway, I do love reading all those stories, and I've read parts of it. I've never read the whole thing, and this one I love. It's actually like written by an Indian guy doing the weird translation to English, so it's like very like simple and a little awkward, but like, you know how it like is piercingly direct, kind of like how Greek can be like that. Anyway, so I got this book of C.S. Lewis, which was called Until We Have Faces. Like the title alone, and it's a retelling of Psyche and Aphrodite's story, and I'm like in it, and it's, wow, it's really gripping. It's gripping. I mean, what a storyteller. Holy moly. I never knew. I didn't read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and all that, but I was on the Tolkien side of the fence, but for a long time. But anyway, not that you can't do all of it. You can. So anyway, that's what's going on since leaving. And yeah, disrupt your own patterns. Taking long breaks, fasting is a great way to do that. Just start getting off of these things, you guys, because I think it's all accelerating. So the like keeping one foot on each track of like, yeah, but I still have to function in this world, and da 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 da. Okay, just know that track is mind controlled by Nazis. So if you want a different track, like, you're gonna have to make it. Like, we have to make it ourselves, and it's got to be underground and analog, as far as I can tell. At least have a correspondence, a fully functional analog system that goes along with it. So, for a time, because you're going to have to jump the track at a certain point, and I think that point's going to be soon, because they're accelerating, because things are accelerating, and yeah, the whole transhumanist thing of merging AI with human beings. And don't forget that human beings are special in all the galaxy, because we have a little drop of source sauce. We have God inside of each of us, and not all beings do. Okay, so, and we don't use it, and we disrespect it, and we've let it like atrophy, and we've just been through hell and back. But this is what we're protecting. It's big. It's big. So get off the junk. We got to get off the junk and have a good old time doing it. Because I want to be laughing and dancing and having fun and have lots of colorful things and great parties to go to and wonderful conversations and flowers and food and all the delightful things in the world, you know? So I think we could do it. All right. Talk soon.